You wouldn't imagine how many youth end up not enrolling into our local youth programs because of all the requirements they have to complete before receiving assistance. You're probably thinking, why does this apply to me in any way? Well, let me explain why. This is important for you to know because we have a mix of people that are going to be working in different fields in this room. We have the criminal justice field, the medical field, and lastly, an organizational leadership field. And at some point in your career, you may be working with a youth that you would like to give an extra hand by referring them into our local youth programs that could change their lives. Remember, as leaders, we have the power to influence others for the better. And by knowing about our local programs that could help a youth, we will make a huge difference. Because remember that the youth are our future. Now, with that said, let me tell you a story about a young boy named Damien that was very interested in the program when he recently had got out of jail and really wanted assistance. He didn't have a birth certificate or his parents in the picture, and this just made it difficult for him because although he was very interested in the program, he was denied because he needed the birth certificate. Now, yes, we could have said, go and get a birth certificate, or we could have referred him out to a different program. But people need to understand that working with youth, we have a critical timeline where we need to get them into these programs when they're interested. And if they don't see progress fast, we could lose them. This is why this is very important for us to make a change. He's one of many youth that get turned away from state fund programs that initially are made for youth with barriers, but instead only add more to them. During the first month of our reports, out of the 20 youth that were interested in enrolling into my program, only 12 were enrolled and the other were denied for many reasons, but mostly because they couldn't obtain the requirements or because they just didn't want to test. Today I will explain why it's important for the state to revise the enrollment process for youth in order to receive services from our state-funded programming. We will look at the problem, effects, and solutions. We have a serious problem. There are too many requirements for the youth to enroll in a program that it's meant to serve youth with barriers. Birth certificates, social securities, passport of service, and transcripts are all items that are required, and they may have a cost and or take weeks to obtain. Birth certificates have a cost of $25 that many of my youth that I work with cannot afford. And unfortunately, the state does not give us vouchers for them to be able to use in order to receive these documents. The passport of service takes a while to receive as social workers need appointments, and now since the pandemic hit, it's only taken a longer time for them to receive paperwork that they need to meet with their social works to obtain. Transcripts is another item that since the pandemic hit is really hard for youth to obtain because they either need to make an appointment with the counselor or they can't get transportation to the school. Also, I mentioned testing is requiring. The testing that's required takes about 1 to 2 hours, and many of the youth that we're working could have serious mental health, or they just simply have issues test taking, which leads to them not wanting to enroll to the program. Although we are aware of these problems, I cannot emphasize on the effects. The two main effects that the youth experience is obtaining the documents and completing the tests. Students give up on their enrollment process because of the length of the time that they have to obtain their documents. Remember, it is very critical when working with youth that we do things at a fast pace, because if we lose their interest, that could be their chance of changing their life. Also, when they know about the testing, this is something that is required that I just simply don't understand. If we're helping these youth with barriers and they're making the effort in trying to change their life, why are we adding testing that, to me, it doesn't make sense how it takes place in any of the services that I'm assisting with them. As you can see, the effects cause many of the youth not to enroll, but they could easily be fixed with the solutions I will share. The clear solution is that the state needs to revisit the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and change enrollment requirements and eliminate testing. Direct access to documentations from agencies would be the best solution. Us having the San Joaquin County Welfare Office directly give us access to documents through their social workers to obtain those documents quickly. Vouchers that would cover the cost of birth certificates and social securities would also be a great help. And not only will we be able to give them a voucher, we would also be able to obtain the documents directly if we make these changes. Eliminating testing is huge for the reason that the testing really does not come into place, because most of these youth are already getting tutoring, or we're trying to get them back into school. So if we're able to eliminate the state testing, it would just welcome a lot more youth to our program. In conclusion, today we learned why the state should revisit the enrollment process and make changes for more youth to be able to access the services that are provided. We looked at the problem, the effect, and the solution. Like I mentioned, 40% of youth within a month are not enrolled in our program, which is almost half of the youth that are interested. By a few changes, we could help Damien, the young youth that wants to change his life, access programs that can lead him to graduating and finding employment. Thank you.